cover is item number 39. This was pulled by Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. So I have a couple of things. So item number 39 had an amendment for 1, 2, potentially. So we've had a lot of robust discussions about this item and issues related to it, both on the dais and with each other, off the dais with stakeholders. I, like probably many of you, I'm receiving text messages and emails from people who are concerned about it and the various iterations and what the implications of those will be. So I think we've all heard the input from the affordable housing advocates also and other housing stakeholders who are asking us to remove the first "be it resolved" and revise our downtown density bonus program holistically. So as opposed to singling out one aspect of the program, to ensure that we have a program that truly maximizes community benefits. And so that's primarily more or less, and I have some questions also, primarily more or less why we pulled this one. There's so many people who've done so much to help pass that 2018 affordable housing bond and develop our affordable housing programs. They have that hands-on knowledge of how to navigate the policies that we create. So to me, their input really does carry a lot.
Okay.
In which case, I'd like to offer an amendment.
All right, let's hold it. We'll come back to you. Let me let Kathy lay this out.
Thank you.
Make her motion.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like to move approval of the revised version that I distributed this morning.
Okay.
If I get a second, I will speak to it.
Is there a second to Councilmember Tovo's? Councilmember Poole seconds. Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you, Mayor. As I indicated this morning, I believe the edits that I've made really address the lack of clarity that gave rise to some of the confusion. I know, and some of my colleagues can probably speak to this. I think we've all received a lot of correspondence, including from some affordable housing folks who weren't aware that their names were included on some of the letters. But in many cases, when we've been able to go back and explain what the intention of that first provision was doing, I think that has really helped. So again, that first change is to remove repeal or, suggesting again that in the code amendment process, what they're going to be looking at the Planning Commission and then again at City Council is whether we should use the same calculation that's currently in the code or a higher calculation with regard to projects that are seeking to exceed the FAR cap. The last couple changes are inserting the words interim in before revision and then making it clear that this is coming back, that the fees will come back no later than August 26, 2021. So, this achieves several things that I know have been goals many of us have shared for a long time. One is that it updates the methods of calculation, which right now are set to 2013. These were done in 2013. We use we use these dollars for permanent supportive housing. We also use them for housing vouchers. So if you think about it, we're using 2013 numbers to put toward affordable housing vouchers that are competing with 2021 market prices. So we are really, in my opinion, not putting ourselves in the strongest position we can with regard to those affordable housing dollars. The same is true of the setting of commercial projects at a zero rate. And I'll just quote from the Neighborhood Housing and Community Development memo from March 2019, which addresses this question of non-residential development and the fee being set at zero. In recommending that we change the fee from zero, they made the comment in the justification that the city has likely foregone revenue due to this omission and will likely continue to do so if a non-residential fee is not adopted. So I agree, there are certainly other elements of the downtown density bonus that should be examined. One that is near and dear to my heart and I've been advocating for since before I served on this council as somebody who also helped pass the 2018 bonds, but also helped pass, as a community member, helped pass the first affordable housing bonds back in whatever year that was. I believe strongly that our downtown density bonus program and our other bonus programs should be requiring more on-site housing. And I hope that that's another thing that we can another element that we can look at when we examine the downtown density bonus program. As I posted on the message board, and so let me step back. I understand that many stakeholders want to see changes to other affordable housing density bonus programs. I have long been an advocate for making those changes too, and sponsored that early resolution, I think in 2014, looking at our programs so that we could get recommendations back from our staff and make those revisions in a data-driven way. And that got kind of encapsulated within the Land Development Code and thus has not yet moved forward. But, you know, as I've been telling people for the last month and a half, some of whom are advocating for those changes, I am very happy to undertake that work, intend to bring forward another IFC initiating that work, and hope that those of you who are interested in that work will help support that. But I don't think that broader body of work should prevent us from moving forward with these changes today, which are much, much needed. And I want to acknowledge that some of our commissions, including the Design Commission, is also interested in this and has expressed an interest in looking at our density bonus programs, especially the downtown density bonus program, as they're kind of the gatekeeper of that one. And so they are also undertaking work on that front. I can say more and might if there are questions or amendments that will suggest making changes here. But you know, I just want to stop and say our current fees right now, I mentioned the commercial in lieu fee is set at $0. The residential fees downtown are set at $3, $5, and $10. And these are, again, dating back to 2013. It is, in my opinion, critically important that we move forward with these changes as soon as we can.
Okay.
Today, I hope.
Now let me come then back to you, Councilmember Harper-Madison and Mayor Pro Tem. Did you want to make an amendment?
I did. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate Councilmember Tovo really laying that out. I appreciate that she's had the opportunity to talk to some of those advocates. But for what it's worth, I mean, I'm also still continuing to get information. And, you know, given that additional feedback that we've received since, I guess, Tuesday, you know, I've shared desire to update and improve the program to be the absolute best it can be. I think that's where we're all in alignment. So I'd like to offer an amendment to strike that first be it resolved and have us come back with a resolution for comprehensive revisions to the downtown density bonus program as soon as possible.
Okay, there's been an amendment offered to strike the first resolved clause. Is there a second to that amendment? Councilmember Casar seconds that amendment. Do you want to address your amendment any further, Councilmember Harper-Madison?
No, I mean, I think we all understand what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Well, I think everybody understands what it is that we're trying to accomplish with Councilmember Tovo's resolution and then subsequently with my amendment. I hope it's understood. It really does bring us back to where we share the vision is we need to recalibrate, you know, but I do believe that first be it resolved doesn't get us to where we're trying to go. And it's the one that gives me pause.
Okay. Further discussion on the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment. Councilmember Casar and then Councilmember Kitchen.
Yeah, let me be clear here about as well on the idea that we need to be spend our time in a way I think that really gets us the change we need. You know, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not sure. I think you said we want a more comprehensive revision of the downtown density bonus. I'd heard you in the past you mentioning our density bonuses citywide and more broadly, and I think that's really important because it really takes a lot of time and bandwidth for our staff, for this dais, and for the community when we are getting back to talking about revisions to the Land Development Code. This first be it resolved kicks off amendments to the Land Development Code, and I want us to sit back for a second and have a conversation as a dais about where we want to start and what we want to get done. I think that hearing everybody talk about how we need to fix our density bonus programs might be one of the places that we start. But just picking this one up, just this one section, I think it could pull time and resource when we have such a bigger task at hand. So again, I do want to reiterate wanting to look at density bonus citywide. One thing we got from the staff, and what I would hold us to if we wanted to do that work, is that we could be short about 7,500 affordable units because we haven't expanded those density bonus programs to all parts of the city. That there are about 25,000 acres in our city that are currently ineligible for the affordable housing bonus that we could make eligible to generate that nearly 8,000 income restricted units. And so that's really, I think, for me, if I was to go send the housing staff to go back to work and to look at affordable housing bonuses, I would want to be looking at those 25,000 acres rather than which would encapsulate this section, would encapsulate downtown, but also really get us that more bang for the buck if we're going to start kicking off text amendments this year.
Councilmember Kitchen.
So Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not sure I'm understanding your amendment. I'm looking at the language. Can you tell me specifically what your amendment is again, just so I can understand it better? You're just amending the first be it resolved, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, not the second or third.
I'm sorry.
Not the second and third be it resolved, just the first one.
Correct. With that,
Okay.
Correct.
And what does your amendment say exactly?
Just strikes it.
Just completely strikes it, just doesn't replace it with anything, just strikes it.
Correct.
Okay, and tell me what that accomplishes.
Let me pull up and I'll read the language. You have to forgive me. I have 75,000 tabs open.
I mean, if I may, if you're asking Councilmember Kitchen what that be it resolved accomplishes, it would initiate the amendment. And so eliminating it would eliminate the initiation of the code amendment to look at that portion of the code that speaks to projects that exceed the cap. So we would not be asking our planning commission or the council to take a look at that and see if we should apply a higher level of calculation and thus get more community benefits from projects that are seeking to exceed the FAR cap.
Okay, I thank you, Councilmember Tovo. I understand that. I'm trying to understand what the Mayor Pro Tem is trying to accomplish by doing that, because it doesn't seem, let me just explain further my questions. So I hear the desire to go beyond the downtown density bonus program to actually look at all of our programs. And I hear Councilmember Tovo mentioning that is her intent at a later date to bring that forward. So, and it may be the intent of others also, which is good. But how does stopping this? I mean, I don't see those things as counter to each other. It seems that we should go ahead and move forward with this, and then as quickly as possible, initiate those changes for the other items. I mean, for the other program. So I'm not sure why, Mayor Pro Tem, I'm not sure what your thinking is and what you'd like to accomplish by taking out this first one. That's what I'm trying to understand.
So I think you spoke to it. You answered your own question when you said, I understand that you want to do it comprehensively. That's my entire intention, is to comprehensively address.
But that's okay. I'm understanding better. I'm understanding that you want to wait until it can be done comprehensively.
The whole program, correct.
Okay. All right. I understand that. That from my perspective, I do think we need to look at all the different programs, but I'm not seeing a reason to wait. I would like to move forward as Councilmember Tovo has suggested, and then as quickly as possible, also move forward on the other items. And I'm willing to entertain a resolution from others as soon as someone brings one forward on the other programs. I think they're important. I think it's really important that we review them all, but I don't want to wait. I don't see any reason to wait.
Okay. Further discussion, Councilmember Fuentes.
Thank you. I'm also supportive of taking a look at all of our density bonus programs. I do think it would be helpful to have them taken up separately. The needs of our downtown community are distinct and unique, and I think that that's worth its own conversation around the calibrated fees and how we go about that. So, I'm supportive of keeping it separate just for understanding and learning purposes, because they're both have all the merit for us to review, and it sounds like I want to review them. But for that reason, I'm supportive of keeping them separate.
So as I look at this, I want to thank Councilmember Tovo and the sponsors for bringing this matter to us, especially as with regards to the recalibration issue. I mean, it just seems like we've repeatedly asked for that and just can't seem to get that to happen. And the fact that it's taken this long, I know there are lots of other things that have been intervening. So I'm not like pointing fingers, but I think it's the recalibration is something that we need to get to, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the amendment, Councilmember Tovo, that you have brought to that I guess we'll get to a second if anybody raises that. I'm comfortable with the amendments that you've raised. Would not have been comfortable just going with the LDC fee, just because I think it needs the actual recalibration. I'm not sure that I would have chosen to do it this way twice, but my understanding from staff is that they can accomplish that and to move that forward. But it's the recalibration effort in August that I really will point to. I'm going to support the amendment from the Mayor Pro Tem, though, on the first section, because I even if we were just to focus on the downtown density bonus, I would like us to be able to focus on the whole downtown density bonus and not just the question of the cap issue, because I think that there are other elements of the downtown density bonus that probably need to be part of that same conversation. I look to see if I could make an amendment to be able to do that, but the posting language is really narrow, so we can't. So I'm going to support this amendment. I appreciate Councilmember Tovo and the other authors in helping us move forward with the recalibration. I hope we take quickly a look at the downtown bonus, either by itself, separately as Councilmember Fuentes indicated, or with the others, but not just looking at the question of the cap divisions. I'm going to support the amendment. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also supportive of the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment to strike the first be it resolved. Also very much do appreciate Councilmember Tovo adding in that recalibration with Eco Northwest. I think that's an important part of this conversation, and will allow me to have more faith in some of the numbers being right-sized and calibrated to our current land development processes. But I do think that there should be some sort of ability for people to come to council in the meantime. And so I think it gets a little cloudy if we amend or change B6 while we're trying to change the numbers as well. And so I'm supportive of the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment.
Further discussion. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to make sure that I was that I was clearly articulating the intent there. And so when I say separate, what I'm talking about is I believe isolating this particular section of code is the thing that could potentially be problematic.
In front of us is the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment. Further discussion. Councilmember Renteria.
Hey, yes, Mayor. I just want to know if the time going to change where we're going to come back with the revision of the fees by August, or is it going to change? Do you have any idea if we're going to be able to?
I think the motion has us coming back earlier than August with the LDC number, and then by August with the recalculated number. So two numbers coming back by August, each one being adopted when it comes back.
Okay.
Further discussion? Councilmember Alter.
Thank you. I'm not going to be able to support this amendment, and I want to thank Councilmember Tovo for her leadership over almost a decade now, pushing on the downtown density bonus and being part of the group who led on that. You know, at the time it was created, as I understand the history, there were folks who thought it was a bad idea and that it was gonna, the sky was gonna fall, et cetera. You know, as we think about what we're doing here, there's a couple things that I have in mind. One is that doing a code amendment is the process to have a conversation and craft a product that works towards all of our goals. Secondly, is that we all agree that what we have now is not good enough. To make an improvement, we don't have to get to perfect, but we've got to do better than where we are. And there are some clear steps that will get us to better. They're not perfect. They're not the end of the conversation. They do not take care of all of the issues all over the city. We are leaving opportunities for affordable housing as we grant these entitlements all over the city. And there are opportunities in certain places where we want to have additional entitlements along our corridors, et cetera. But we should try and do better. We do not have to do perfect with this vote today.
Further discussion on the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment, Councilmember Kitchen.
Yeah, the other thing that I'm thinking is, I hear the concern about looking at things in isolation, but I also think that it is important, as Councilmember Fuentes said, to we'll be drilling down necessarily for each one of these kinds of programs because there are distinctions amongst them. So I don't see this as being in isolation either, because this is initiating an amendment to one of the density, initiating the process for amending one of the density bonus programs. There's nothing stopping anyone for going ahead immediately and bringing those amendments for these other density bonuses, and I look forward to seeing that. So I don't think, I mean, and the staff doesn't have to take these up sequentially either. Once these are initiated, they will naturally get to a process where they're looking at together where it's appropriate and looking at the distinct issues where it's not because of the distinctiveness of each of the programs. So again, I just don't see any reason to delay. It's really affordable housing is like a top priority for us. I think we just need to move on this.
Okay. Further discussion on the amendment. We ready to take a vote? Let's take a vote. Those in favor of the Mayor Pro Tem's amendment, please raise your hand. I have Council Member Casar, Ellis, Mayor Pro Tem and me. Those opposed, please raise your hand. It looks to be the balance of the dais, 4-7. The amendment does not pass. Further discussion?
I had some things I wanted to say into the record, if it's possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. I fully support adjusting our density bonus programs both downtown and across the city. But I'm happy to start here with the downtown pieces today as soon as we can, because in that way we capture as many community benefits as we possibly can. I want to thank Councilmember Tovo for bringing the item forward, and I want to express my gratitude for her past work to craft these programs that we stand poised to improve upon today. We wouldn't be standing anywhere near where we are without her commitment to serving our city and the housing community with more resources and funds to gain more restricted units and permanent supportive housing. All of which is to say that I was somewhat taken aback by the reluctance expressed by some of the housing groups to support the initiative that would assist them in achieving their mission, particularly the code amendment portion that absolutely needs to be clarified for everybody's benefit. So I asked my staff to contact some of the folks whose names were on a couple of letters from housing groups to understand their stated objections to the item. what my staff found from talking to these folks was that many of the people named in the letters not only didn't know about the letter, but they were not, in fact, opposed at all to this initiative that Councilmember Tovo was bringing. For example, here's what Walter Moreau wrote to us this afternoon, and I think Katie sent around a copy of his letter. Walter writes, "I am writing to clarify that Foundation Communities supports the intent of item 39 to update and improve the downtown density bonus programs. We are a member of the Austin Housing Coalition, but the position of AHC does not reflect the position of Foundation Communities. We look forward to the public process to make the program a success." So going forward, I want to understand how this happens more fully. I want to make sure that when we do hear from a group, that the members are informed about letters to council, and that individuals cannot speak on behalf of groups without advising the groups that that is happening, and that the groups are indeed supportive of positions that are being expressed. I've heard some of my colleagues, as expressed in some of these letters, that we need to wait and bring the entire raft of density bonus programs to council before we can touch even one. We've taken the vote, so we have laid that issue to rest, but for the record, I am very supportive, as Councilmember Tovo has posted on the message board, of bringing forward the rest of these programs to be updated as well. It would be perfect, as someone already said earlier today, if we were doing all of that right now, but I'm not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good that we can and have done with this program today. Thanks.
Okay.